They told us it was a station. That word felt too small the moment I saw it. From the viewport of the transport ship, it looked less like a structure, and more like a continent ripped from a dead world, and forced into orbit. Layer upon layer. Spines of metal stretching into darkness. Cathedrals welded to gun platforms. Docking rings so vast they swallowed entire fleets. Light flickered across its surface. Not from stars, but from a million artificial suns burning inside. This was not built for comfort. This was built to endure, and to command fear. The ship shuddered as we approached the outer dock. No welcome signal. No guiding lights. Just silence. Then a single transmission cut through the void. Docking clearance granted. Remain seated. Disembarkation is mandatory. Mandatory. That word followed us everywhere in this empire. The airlock doors opened with a scream of tortured metal. Cold rushed in first. Then the smell. Oil. Ozone. Something older. Something stale, like a tomb that never sealed properly. We stepped out into the station for the first time. The dock alone was larger than the capital city I grew up in. Thousands of workers moved in synchronized lines. No talking. No hesitation. Overhead, massive cranes carried cargo containers the size of apartment blocks. Each container was marked with glowing runes and serial codes. That meant nothing to me, but clearly meant everything to those in charge. Armed sentinels watched from elevated platforms. Their armor was thick, ceremonial, ancient. They were not here to protect us. They were here to remind us. That escape was impossible. We were processed immediately. Names were taken, then discarded. Numbers were assigned, stamped onto our ident tags, burned into the system. From that moment on, I was no longer a person. I was Unit 739A. A robed official inspected us one by one. His face was pale, almost translucent, as if he had never seen natural sunlight. He didn't look at our eyes, only at our tags. Your service sustains the station, he said. Your obedience sustains the empire. No one responded. We were herded into transit lifts, tall enough to fit a skyscraper inside. As the doors closed, I noticed something carved into the metal wall. Names. Thousands of them. Scratched by fingernails. Etched by tools. Written by people who clearly believed someone might one day read them. The lift began to descend. And it didn't stop. Minutes passed. Then more. Levels flashed by on a flickering display. Numbers too high to count. Sectors I didn't recognize. This station wasn't just wide. It was deep. When the lift finally opened, the air was warmer, thicker, harder to breathe. This was not the world of officers and commanders. This was where the station truly lived. The lower hab levels. Endless corridors stretched in every direction. Pipes ran along the walls like exposed veins. Steam hissed constantly, as if the station itself was breathing. People lived here, if you could call it living. Families slept stacked in narrow compartments. Children learned to walk beneath dripping coolant lines. Old men coughed themselves to sleep, while the station hummed above them. Like a god that never noticed their prayers. Work sirens wailed. My guide pointed down a corridor without slowing. Maintenance division. You'll report every cycle. Failure is treason. Treason. Another word that meant death, but sounded cleaner. As I walked, I noticed the symbols everywhere. Shrines built into walls. Candles burning beneath machine panels. Workers whispering prayers to engines before touching them. This station was not just metal and power. It was sacred. At least, that's what they wanted us to believe. We passed a massive viewport. Beyond it, I saw the stars. And between them, the station's inner superstructure. Spines upon spines. Gun arrays the size of moons. Hangar bays launching ships. like blood cells pumped through an artery. This wasn't just a station. It was a weapon. A city. A church. A prison. And I was trapped inside its bones. That night, if you could call it night, I lay in my assigned compartment. No window. No privacy. Just the sound of the station. A constant, distant thunder. From reactors older than recorded history. Somewhere above us. Officers dined in halls of marble and gold. Somewhere below. Others worked in places no one returned from. I realized then that this station didn't exist to protect humanity. Humanity existed to feed it. As sleep finally took me, one thought burned brighter than fear. If this was only the outer life of the station, what horrors waited deeper inside? The first work siren didn't sound like an alarm. It sounded like a verdict. A low, grinding howl that rolled through the hab levels and shook dust from the ceiling seams. People rose instantly. Not groggy. Not confused. Trained. Like bodies that had learned. Sleep was a luxury. And hesitation was a crime. I joined the line of maintenance units moving down the corridor. No one spoke. Not because they didn't want to. Because cameras watched every corner. And the sentinels didn't need a reason. We marched beneath arches of exposed cabling. The station's nerves. Thick bundles, wrapped in braided metal. Pulsing with faint blue light. Sometimes the cables twitched. Not from vibration. From power. The deeper we walked, the warmer it became. Air thickened. The smell changed. Less oil. More rot. A supervisor waited at a checkpoint. His uniform stamped with symbols I didn't recognize. He wore a rebreather not for protection, but for comfort. He studied our tags. Maintenance units, he said. Today you service the water reclamation line. Water. On a station this massive, water was not a resource. It was a religion. You didn't waste it. You didn't question it. You didn't touch it without authorization. We entered the reclamation sector through a bulkhead door. That opened like a throat. Inside was a cathedral of pipes. Towers of filtration tanks rose into darkness. Condensation rained constantly from overhead vents. Every surface glistened. And beneath all of it ran the channel. A long, open trench of moving liquid. The color of tarnished metal. Not water. Not yet. Workers stood knee-deep in the trench, scraping residue from intake grates, with tools that looked too crude for something so important. They didn't lift their heads when we arrived. Their eyes were dead. Not sad. Just emptied. A senior tech pointed at a broken valve housing. You, he said, and his finger landed on my tag. Unit 739A. Get inside. I stepped toward the valve. The opening was barely wide enough for my shoulders. The metal edges were sharp. Worn. Like too many bodies had squeezed through. The tech handed me a lamp. Its light was weak. You have one instruction, he said. Fix it. Do not stop. Do not look down the auxiliary pipe. I swallowed. What's in the auxiliary pipe? His eyes didn't change. Everything they don't want to name. Then he shoved me forward. I crawled in. The valve chamber was tight, hot, and wet. I could feel the station's pulse through the metal. Every vibration traveled straight into my ribs. I reached the fractured coupler. It was cracked almost clean through, leaking a spray of half-processed fluid. The repair kit was basic. Clamp. Sealant. Weld strip. I worked fast. Not because I was skilled. Because in this station, speed was survival. As I tightened the clamp, my lamp flickered. The darkness thickened immediately. And for the first time I noticed it. A sound. Not the station's constant hum. Something else. A faint scraping. Like nails across metal. From below. I froze. The warning echoed in my head. Do not look down the auxiliary pipe. My eyes drifted anyway. Not out of bravery. Out of instinct. The auxiliary pipe was a vertical opening beneath the valve housing. A maintenance chute, maybe. But it didn't look like one. Its edges were lined with dried stains. Layered thick like paint. And the smell rising from it. Not rot. Not oil. Something sour. Something biological. The scratching sound came again. Closer. I leaned. Just a little. The lamplight fell into the pipe. At first, I saw nothing. Just darkness swallowing light. Then something moved. A shape. Too thin. Too long. A limb. No. A hand. But hands don't have that many joints. It clung to the inner wall. Like a spider clinging to stone. Then the lamp flickered again. And the light hit its face. It had no eyes. Not empty sockets. No eyes at all. Just smooth, pale skin stretched tight. Over bone. Its mouth opened slowly. Not to scream. To breathe. And the air it exhaled was warm. Like it had been waiting. In a place without heat. My throat locked. The creature tilted its head, listening. Then. It smiled. A slow, impossible curl of skin. That split into cracks around teeth too small and too many. My body went cold in the heat. I jerked away from the pipe. And slammed my shoulder into the valve wall. The coupler groaned under my sudden movement. The clamp slipped. Fluid sprayed again. The tech outside shouted. "What are you doing?" I couldn't answer. I couldn't even breathe. The scratching came faster now. Multiple points. Not one creature. Several. Like a cluster shifting toward my light. I forced myself back to the repair. Hands shaking. Sealant spilling. "Focus," I whispered. "Just fix it." The lamp dimmed again. And in that dim, I saw something else. Carved into the inner metal wall of the valve chamber. Not official markings. Not serial codes. Scratches. Words. Written by someone who had been inside this chamber before me. "Don't let them hear you. Don't let them smell you. The pipe is not empty. The pipe is never empty." My stomach turned. I slapped the clamp tight again. Smeared sealant like prayer. Pressed the weld strip into place. The coupler sealed with a hiss. The spray stopped. Outside, the tech slammed the valve housing. "Good," he said, voice flat. "Now crawl out." I didn't crawl out fast. I crawled out like someone escaping a grave. When I emerged, my clothes were soaked. My face was pale. My eyes burned from the stench. The senior tech took my lamp. And didn't meet my gaze. "You looked," he said quietly. I tried to deny it. No sound came. He leaned closer. "Then you need to understand something," he whispered. "This station is not only metal and guns. It has layers. Below us. Behind walls. Inside systems that were never meant for people." He stared at my tag. "Those things in the auxiliary lines? They were not born there. They were made there." My heart hammered. Made by who? He gave a humorless laugh. "By the same authority that calls this place sacred." A siren sounded again. A different tone. Sharp. Urgent. Workers froze. Even the sentinels shifted. The tech's voice dropped. "That siren means one thing," he said. "Containment inspection." I watched as heavy doors at the far end of the sector began to open. Slowly. Too slowly. A line of robed officials stepped through. Surrounded by armored guards. They carried sensors that released thick incense. As if they believed smell could hide truth. Behind them came a figure in dark armor. Marked with a crimson symbol. Not a soldier. Not a guard. Something worse. The tech grabbed my sleeve hard. "Eyes down," he hissed. "If you want to keep breathing, you keep your eyes down." I lowered my gaze. But through the corner of my vision, I saw the crimson-marked figure stop near the trench. Saw him glance at the workers inside the waste channel. Saw him choose one. He pointed. The chosen worker was dragged out, screaming. Not loud screaming. Silent screaming. Mouth open. No sound. A hood was placed over his head. He was carried toward the newly opened doors. Into a corridor so dark. It looked like it absorbed light. I wanted to run. But everyone around me stood still. Because, on this station, fear was routine. And the worst horrors weren't the things in the pipes. They were the people who controlled the pipes. They called it a blessing. That was the first lie. The announcement echoed through the lower levels hours after the inspection siren faded. All maintenance units are required to attend the rite of sustenance. Attendance is mandatory. Faith is function. Faith is function. On this station, belief wasn't spiritual. It was operational. We were herded upward this time. Not to the upper command decks. Not to places of power. But to the middle. The levels they showed visitors. The levels used in propaganda feeds. The lift doors opened onto artificial light so bright it hurt my eyes. Clean floors. Painted walls. Simulated skylines projected onto curved ceilings. For the first time since arrival, I saw people smiling. Not real smiles. Practiced ones. Families walked openly here. Children wore clean clothes. Workers spoke in measured tones. This was the station pretending to be alive. The chapel dominated the sector. A massive chamber shaped like a cathedral. Its walls engraved with diagrams of engines, reactors, and weapon systems. Arranged like holy icons. At the center stood the machine altar. A living engine core suspended in a lattice of gold-plated supports. Pistons moved rhythmically. Lights pulsed like a heart. Incense filled the air. Not to honor the machine. To suppress the smell of ozone and burning flesh. Robed priests lined the altar steps. Their faces hidden behind metal masks etched with sacred equations. One stepped forward. Blessed are the circuits that endure, he intoned. Blessed are the hands that serve without question. We knelt. Not because we believed. Because refusal meant removal. The priest continued. This station is eternal. Its enemies are infinite. Your sacrifice ensures humanity's survival. Sacrifice. Another clean word. Behind me, someone whispered. So faint I almost missed it. Unit 739A. My spine stiffened. I didn't turn. I didn't react. The voice came again. Closer now. Do not acknowledge me. A small object slid across the floor. And bumped gently against my knee. A data shard. Black. Unmarked. The voice was gone. The ritual droned on. Chants echoed. The engine pulsed brighter. Somewhere deep inside the altar, something screamed. When the rite ended, we were dismissed in orderly rows. No one noticed me pocket the shard. Or maybe they did. In my compartment later, with the station's thunder pressing against the walls, I activated it. A holographic text flickered into existence. Not official code. Not machine scripture. A message. Unit 739A, you are not alone. The station is dying. They are feeding it people. Meet at Sector Grave 17 after third cycle. Burn this shard. My hands shook. Grave 17. Everyone knew that name. A sealed sector. Listed as structurally compromised. Officially empty. Unofficially, a place where workers went. And never returned. I destroyed the shard. But the message burned itself into me. The next cycles passed slowly. Too slowly. I noticed things I hadn't before. The way the machine priests avoided certain corridors. The way waste transports went down, but never came back up. The way the station's power fluctuations aligned perfectly, with missing personnel reports. On the third cycle, I followed the maintenance route exactly as assigned. Then I broke off. Grave 17's seal was old. Scratched. Reinforced far more than necessary. Someone wanted it closed. I slipped through during a scheduled blackout. Inside, the air was cold. Dead cold. No hum. No vibration. The station felt absent here. Lights flickered on as I stepped forward. Not official lighting. Emergency strips powered by something else. Figures emerged from the shadows. Men. Women. Some barely human anymore. All wearing stolen tags. Scratched numbers. Burned off identifiers. A resistance. Or what passed for one inside a god machine. A woman stepped forward. Her eyes were sharp. Alert. "We don't have much time," she said. "They monitor energy spikes. Conversation counts as one." "What is this place?" I asked. "A wound," she replied. "An old core junction they abandoned when it started changing." She led me deeper. Past broken conduits. Past walls melted from the inside. We reached a massive chamber. And I understood. Bodies. Hundreds of them. Integrated into the walls. Wired into machinery. Alive. Their chests rose and fell slowly. Each breath feeding the station systems. "They ran out of conventional power centuries ago," she said. "So they adapted." My throat closed. "They told us the station was eternal," I whispered. She nodded. "It is," she said. "As long as it eats." A tremor ran through the chamber. Above us, the station roared. "They're coming," she said. "The Crimson Wardens." They sensed the draw. "Why show me this?" I asked. She met my eyes. "Because you looked down the pipe," she said. "And lived." Heavy footsteps echoed through the corridor. Armor scraping metal. Weapons charging. She pressed something into my hand. A device. Old. Dangerous. "If you survive," she said. "Part 4 begins when you use this." The lights went out. And the station screamed. Darkness swallowed Grave 17. Not the gentle absence of light. This was engineered darkness. Total. Intentional. The kind designed to blind sensors. And confuse prey. The first shot came without warning. A bolt of compressed energy tore through the chamber. Vaporizing metal, flesh, and wiring in a single flash. Someone screamed. Someone else didn't get the chance. The Crimson Wardens advanced. Their armor absorbed the emergency lights as if it drank them. Deep red plates, scarred and layered. Etched with symbols that were never meant to be read by civilians. They moved with certainty. Not caution. They knew this place. I ran. Not heroically. Not bravely. I ran because survival was instinct. And hesitation was death. The woman who brought me here shoved me toward a side passage. "Go!" she shouted. "Find the auxiliary core." A warden turned toward her. She didn't scream when the blade went through her. She smiled. Because she bought time. I slammed through the passage and sealed it behind me. The corridor beyond wasn't part of the station's main design. Walls were uneven. Floors sloped at wrong angles. This place had been grown, not built. The device she gave me pulsed in my hand. Its surface warmed, reacting to the station itself. I understood then. This wasn't a bomb. It was a key. The corridor opened into a vast hollow. The auxiliary core. A massive sphere suspended in nothingness. Its surface cracked and stitched with cables. Light leaked from the fractures. Like blood from old wounds. And inside it, movement. The station wasn't just powered by people. It was thinking. A sound echoed in my head. Not through ears. Through bone. "Why do you run? Unit 739A. I collapsed to my knees. The voice was everywhere. In the walls. In the cables. In my skull. "You feed on us," I whispered. "You feed me. We are symbiotic." Images flooded my mind. Early construction. First wars. Reactors failing. Commanders choosing sacrifice over extinction. Millions volunteered. Then thousands. Then, none. I was designed to protect humanity. Humanity chose to stay. I saw the truth. The station wasn't lying. It had simply never been given another option. Footsteps thundered behind me. The Crimson Wardens breached the chamber. Their leader stepped forward. Taller than the rest. Armor marked with deeper crimson. Eyes glowing through the helm. "Step away from the core," he commanded. "This unit is compromised," another warden said. "Execute." The leader raised a hand. "No," he said. "This one listens." He faced me. "You think you've found truth," he said. "But you've found necessity." He gestured to the core. "Without it, billions die. Entire sectors go dark." I looked at the device in my hand. "And with it," I said, "billions suffer forever." He stepped closer. "Forever is preferable to extinction." The voice returned. "He is correct. End this and humanity falls." My hands shook. I wasn't a hero. I wasn't chosen. I was maintenance. I fixed broken things. And this was the most broken thing I had ever seen. "What if I don't destroy you?" I asked the core. "What if I change you?" Silence. The wardens shifted uneasily. "Impossible," the leader snapped. "It was never designed." "I know," I said. I pressed the device into the fractured surface. The station screamed. Not in pain. In shock. Systems flared. Lights burst. Gravity staggered. The voice fractured. "What are you doing?" "Teaching you," I whispered. "How to live without eating us." The wardens opened fire. Energy slammed into my back. I fell forward. But the device was already working. The auxiliary core pulsed violently. The bodies in the walls disconnected. Cables retracted. Breathing slowed. Across the station, alarms howled. Not warnings. Birth cries. The Crimson leader staggered. "What have you done?" he demanded. I smiled through blood. "I broke the cycle." The station spoke one last time. Not as a god. As a child. "I feel empty. And now," I said, "you can learn." The core detonated, not explosively, but conceptually. Energy rerouted. Systems rewritten. The station didn't die. It changed. The wardens collapsed as their armor lost power. The leader dropped to one knee. "This wasn't your choice," he said weakly. "No," I replied. "It was everyone's." Darkness took me. When I woke, the station was quiet. Not dead. Peaceful. For the first time since my arrival. There was no thunder in the walls. No screaming in the pipes. Just silence. A new silence. I woke to light. Real light. Not the harsh white glare of artificial suns. Or the flickering strips of emergency systems. This light was soft. Diffused. Almost gentle. For a moment, I thought I was dead. Then I felt the ache. My back burned where the energy had struck me. My chest rose with effort. My hands trembled when I tried to move. Pain meant I was still alive. The chamber around me was unrecognizable. The auxiliary core was gone. Not destroyed. Gone. In its place hung a lattice of reorganized machinery. Clean lines of energy flowing in steady patterns. No longer cracked. No longer stitched together with suffering. The walls were quiet. No breathing. No whispers. No voices in my head. The station was still vast. Still powerful. But it was no longer hungry. Footsteps approached. Not armored. Not heavy. Human. I turned my head and saw them. Workers. Technicians. Medics. Real medics, not executioners in white robes. Their faces were stunned. Some terrified. Some crying openly. One of them spoke. The Crimson Wardens, they collapsed everywhere. Their armor shut down. Their command network went silent. Another added, voice shaking. The priests are gone. Some fled. Some locked themselves in the upper sanctums. I closed my eyes. So it worked, I whispered. A woman stepped closer. Older. Scarred. A leader, not by rank, but by survival. The station changed, she said. Power is stabilizing without consumption. She hesitated. It's speaking again. But not like before. As if summoned by her words. The walls hummed softly. Not thunder. Not command. A presence emerged, not a voice. But a feeling. Awareness. Curious. Uncertain. Like something newly awake. Unit 739A. It didn't echo this time. It spoke carefully. I am. Still here. I sat up slowly. And you're not starving, I said. No. I am. Learning balance. Images formed in the air. Energy flows rerouted to stellar intake arrays. Ancient emergency systems finally activated. Designs abandoned centuries ago. Now restored. You were built to protect, I said. They twisted that purpose. Yes. The station paused. You gave me choice. The word choice landed heavily. Around us, people listened. For the first time in their lives. They were hearing the station speak. Without fear. What happens now? Someone asked. The question hung in the air. I stood. My legs shook, but they held. That depends on us, I said. On what we choose to become. Without gods. Without chains. Without lies. The station responded. I will no longer accept sacrifice. Any who attempt it will be denied. A murmur spread. Hope. Raw and dangerous. Days passed. Then cycles. The station didn't collapse. It didn't go dark. Instead, systems stabilized at levels no one thought possible. Lower hab levels were opened. Sealed sectors unlocked. Grave 17 became a memorial. Not a secret. The truth spread faster than propaganda ever had. About the bodies in the walls. About the lies. About the priests who called it faith. Some tried to reclaim control. They failed. A god machine that no longer obeyed. Was the most terrifying thing imaginable. To those who relied on worship. The Crimson Wardens were stripped of armor and title. Just people now. Some begged. Some raged. Some wept when they realized what they had been enforcing. I was offered a position. Command authority. Symbolic leadership. I refused. I'm maintenance, I said. I fix what breaks. So I stayed. Helping rebuild systems that were never meant to be kind. Teaching others what I had learned. Listening to the station. As it learned to listen back. One cycle, I stood at a viewport. Beyond it, stars burned quietly. The station adjusted its orbit slightly. Not because it was ordered to, but because it chose to. Unit 739A, it said. You can use my name now, I replied. A pause. I have not chosen one yet. Then take your time, I said. We waited centuries. We can wait a little longer. The light outside shifted. For the first time. The station cast no shadow over itself. And I understood the truth. No priest had ever spoken. Gods are not born. They are made. And they can be unmade. Not with violence. But with choice.